Good morning, students. Now, our today's topic is lesson number 5, a different kind of school from your English textbook Honey Suckle. Students, before we begin with the explanation of this story, let's know the background of the story. About what this story has been written. So, here in this story, the narrator means a person who narrates the story to us or who describes the story to us, who tells the story. So that narrator, he had heard so many good things about Miss Beam, who was the owner of one school. So this narrator, he had heard many things that were good related to that school. So he had a great desire to visit that school and to meet Miss Beam. He wanted to know what techniques she was applying in her school to make teaching learning more effective and more comfortable. So narrator, one day he got the chance to visit the school. He went inside the school, he met Miss Beam, and he also observed different activities that were taking place in that school. Now, when he met all these children in the school as well as Miss Beam, and he observed all the other things that were going on there, so he came to know that the main objective, main aim of that school was to make the students more thoughtful and responsible citizens. Thoughtful means helping. So he came to know that the students, along with the regular teaching learning, they were also learning to be helpful to the other students, to the other children, and they were also helped in shaping up their personality as a responsible citizen of the country. So students, now let's begin with the explanation part of the story. This is paragraph number 1 in front of you. I had heard a great deal about Miss Beam's school, but not till last week did the chance come to visit it. So now what does the narrator tell us? That he had a great desire to meet Miss Beam and to visit her school. But till last week he could not get any chance to visit the school. When I arrived there was no one in sight but a girl of about 12. Her eyes were covered with a bandage and she was being led carefully between the flower beds by a little boy who was about 4 years younger. She stopped and looked like she asked him who had come. He seemed to be describing me to her. Then they passed on. So here students, insight means to be seen, to be in the sight. Bandage means dressing, covering of a cloth. And then flower bed is a part of the garden where flowers are grown. You can see in the picture. This is a picture of a garden where the flowers are growing like a bed. They are spread like a bed. So that is called the flower bed. Now here, when this narrator, when he arrived to Miss Beam's school, so what did he notice at the very beginning? That nobody was visible in front of the school campus. But a single girl of 12 years was in the scene. Only single girl could be seen in the front side of the school. And the eyes of that girl were covered with a bandage. Means she was having one bandage around her eyes. She was unable to see anything because of that bandage. And because she was roaming in the garden, so there she was helped by one boy who was 4 years younger to that girl. Now, when that girl, she felt my arrival inside the school, so she stopped at one place, and it appeared to me as if she asked that boy about my entrance in the school. And it looked like as if that boy was describing me to her. And then they again started to walk, and they passed on from that place. Miss Beam was all that I had expected, middle-aged, full of authority, yet kindly and understanding. Her hair was beginning to turn grey, and she had the kind of plump figure that is likely to be comforting to a homesick child. I asked her some questions about her teaching methods, which I had heard very simple. So now I entered inside the school building, and there I met Miss Beam. As I had the expectations, she was like my expectations. She was a middle-aged lady, and she was full of authority, full of power. But still she was looking friendly. Kindly means friendly. And she was quite understanding. She was knowing the problems of the children. So she was quite understanding, she was friendly, and yet she was powerful and a middle-aged lady. Her hair was beginning to turn grey. Because she was growing old, so her hair had also started to turn grey, to turn white. And she had a kind of plump figure. Plump means stout, pleasantly fat. So her figure, her personality was quite fat, and it appeared as if that personality was quite comforting to those students who would feel homesick, who would miss their homes. So this lady's personality, plump figure, was like that it would give comfort to those students who would be missing their homes. So now when I met that lady, I asked many questions about her way of teaching in the school, the ways that she had applied to teach students in her school. Because I had heard that she was using very simple methods in her school to teach the children. No more than is needed to help them to learn how to do things. Simple spelling, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and writing. The rest is done by reading to them and by interesting talks during which they have to sit still and keep their hands quiet. There are practically no other lessons. So now here, students, Miss Beam, she is describing the techniques that were being applied in her school to teach the students, to make the learning more interesting and easy. So what does she tell us? That in her school only simple spellings are taught, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and the writing is taught to the students, how to write, how to subtract, how to multiply, how to add, and the spellings of the words are being taught to the children, and rest of the things are only done by simply reading those topics in front of the students and by making interesting talks with the children. And during those interesting talks, children were supposed to sit still without moving and keeping their hands quiet. So further she tells that practically there were no other lessons than these which I have just told to you. She is describing all these things to the narrator. She's telling all these things to narrator when he asked that what techniques she was applying in her school. The real aim of this school is not so much to teach thought as to teach thoughtfulness, kindness to others, and being responsible citizens. Look out of the window a minute, will you? Now, students, further Miss Beam tells the narrator that the real objective, the real aim of the school that she was running was not to teach simply the reading and writing to the students, but to teach them thoughtfulness. Thoughtfulness means kindness to other people who are living around us. So that was the real aim of her school. Further, she tells that she also wanted to make the students of her school the responsible citizens. Responsible means aware of their duties. She wanted the students to be the people who would be always aware of their duties along with their rights. So that was the main motto of her school. And then further she requested the narrator to look out of the window for a minute. I went to the window which overlooked a large garden and a playground at the back. What do you see? Miss Beam asked. Now, when Miss Beam requested the narrator to look out of the window, so he went near the window and he looked outside the window. So he noticed that outside the window there was a large garden and there was a big playground at its back. And then Miss Beam asked that what do you see outside the window in the garden, in the playground? I see some very beautiful grounds, I said, and a lot of jolly children. It pains me though to see that they are not all so healthy and active looking. Now, when Miss Beam told the narrator to look outside the window, and when she asked that what did he see outside the window, so he answered that outside I can see very beautiful grounds, and in those grounds a lot of jolly children are visible to me, but it makes me very sad. It gives me a lot of pain when I see that those children, they are not looking very healthy and they are not looking active. They are not active looking. Then further he tells, when I came in, I saw one poor little girl being led about. She has some trouble with her eyes. Now I can see two more with the same difficulty. And there is a girl with a crutch watching the others at play. She seems to be a hopeless cripple. So now further the narrator tells us that when I entered in the school, I saw that a poor girl, she was led about by a boy who was younger, 4 years younger to her. She was helping the girl to move around in the garden, in the playground, and she was having some trouble in her eyes. Some bandage was wrapped around her eyes because she had some trouble in her eyes. Now further he tells that now I can see two more with the same difficulty. Means at this time also in the garden I can see two more students who are having the same problem in their eyes. They are also having the bandage around their eyes. And then further he tells that there is a girl with a crutch. Crutch means a stick with a piece that fits under the arm that you lean on for support if you have difficulty in walking because of a foot or leg injury. This is the image of a crutch. People who are unable to walk on their own legs, they use this crutch to support their legs. So here he tells that that girl who is standing in the playground, she has used the crutch. She is using the crutch, watching the others to play, and she is watching the other children playing in the ground because she is having the problem in her legs, so she is using crutch and she is only watching the students playing in the ground. And further he tells that she seems to be a hopeless cripple. Cripple means handicap, a disabled who has some problem, physical issue in his or her body. So further the narrator tells us that I feel that that girl who is having the crutch in her hands, she is a paralyzed person. Okay, a cripple. Miss Beam laughed. Oh no, she said. She is not really lame. This is only her lame day. The others are not blind either. It is only their blind day. I must have looked very surprised, for she laughed again. So now, listening the answer of the narrator, Miss Beam started to laugh loudly, and she said that, oh, those students are not really handicapped. They are not disabled children. They are only behaving like these disabled students. And here, the girl to whom you saw with crutch, she is not really lame. It is only her lame day. Means the day on which she was to act as if she was a lame. In reality, she was completely fit and fine girl, but today she was assigned to behave like a lame student, lame child, and that's why she was using that that crutch. The others are not blind either. Further, Miss Beam told that the other students to whom you met when you entered in the school and to whom you saw standing in the playground, those students are not actually blind. It is just their blind day. They are assigned to behave like a blind, and they are having the bandage on their eyes. Now, listening all these explanations from Miss Beam, I looked really very surprised, and again Miss Beam laughed on me. This is a very important part of our system. To make our children appreciate and understand misfortune, we make them share in misfortune too. So here, Miss Beam, she explains that to make uh, their children appreciate means respect, accept, value. So she tells that to make our students appreciate and understand misfortune means bad luck. What do? We also assign them the same thing for one day at least. Means for one day they are supposed to behave like those unfortunate people, those disabled people. And further she tells that each term every child has one blind day, one lame day, one deaf day, one injured day, and one dumb day. So she tells further that every child of my school has assigned the duty of behaving like a blind person for one day. Then for one day he has been assigned the task of behaving like a lame boy, lame girl, and then one day is his or her deaf day, and then for one next day he has to behave like an injured man, an injured person, and then lastly he or she has to behave like a dumb person. So these are the different tasks that are assigned to my students so that we can sensitize them towards those unfortunate people who are having this bad luck, who are facing this problem of disability. Now further she tells, during the blind day their eyes are bandaged absolutely and they are on their honor not to peep. On their honor not to peep means they are promised. They promise that they will not peep out of the bandage that is tied around their eyes. So during the blind day, these children who are assigned to behave like the blind people, their eyes are completely bandaged and they promise that they will not look through the bandages. The bandage is put on overnight so they wake blind. In the night only the bandage is wrapped around their eyes, and when in the morning they wake up, everything is black in front of their eyes. So they wake up blind, means they are unable to see anything from the morning itself. This means they need that they need help with everything. Means if they are blind, they are always uh, having the need of the help from other children, and other children are given the duty of helping them and leading them about in the school campus. They are in this way, these children who are behaving like the blind and who are the helpers of those blind people, they both learn so many things. They become sensitized towards such people, and they appreciate, they respect, they learn the importance of the help, and they also appreciate the misfortune. So students, here the half of the part of this lesson is over. The remaining part I'll cover in the next video that will be posted tomorrow. So till then, you continue to practice the comprehension of this particular part till paragraph 9, and please learn all the new words along with their meanings and spellings. Tomorrow I'll see you again. Till then, take care of yourself. Thank you.